Today, we're going to talk about why the things that feel comforting are often the things that are keeping us stuck. We're going to talk about protective behaviors versus peace. When you're reaching for comfort, what is it that you're really looking for? Often it's not about the thing itself or the food itself. It's about what it does for your mind. And many comfort habits are actually protective behaviors. They are ways that your mind and your body try to keep safe when life feels stressful or overwhelming. You want to feel calmer. You want that mental noise to quiet down. And you want life to feel lighter, less heavy, less chaotic, less overwhelming, less stressful. But many of the things that we reach for in the name of peace don't really give us peace, at least not for long. Instead, what they're giving us is relief. And there's a difference between peace and relief. Relief feels like peace in the moment. That's why it works. But the relief fades quickly. And then it often leaves behind more stress, more frustration, more self-judgment, more than you had before. And this is where you get stuck. Not because you're weak or you're lazy, but because you're relying on protective behaviors that once upon a time were the things that helped you to cope. They are the habits that your brain uses to help you cope with stress, with strong feelings, or pressure. Protective behaviors are not random, they're not moral failures, and they are not signs that something is wrong with you. Some of the common protective behaviors that you might recognize are eating to quiet your mind or to calm your feelings, zoning out with TV, scrolling, playing games on your phone, or other distractions, procrastinating and then criticizing yourself for it later, staying busy to avoid slowing down because staying busy helps to silence some of that noise, and avoiding structure because, quite frankly, it feels uncomfortable. And at some point, these habits actually did help you to feel safe or functional. And because they worked before, your critter brain keeps reaching for them now. But the problem is, it's not that these habits exist. The problem is that they're being asked to do a job that they weren't meant to do long term, right? Like that's what we've done. These these behaviors, these protective behaviors were meant to be just for a small amount of time, and we've been using them for years. Relief is not the same as peace. Protective behaviors are really good at giving us short-term relief. Relief might feel like, I don't have to deal with this right now. The noise quieted down for a moment. Oh, I can breathe again. But relief is temporary and it usually comes with a cost, as you well know. Peace feels different. Peace isn't escaping life, it's being able to stay present without attacking yourself. Peace is quiet, it's stable. Peace is simple, and it doesn't leave you cleaning up emotional or physical messes afterwards. What you're often really avoiding, it's often not the emotion that feels unbearable, but the way that you talk to yourself while you're feeling those emotions. Anxiety plus kindness feels very different than anxiety and self-attack. Stillness plus permission feels entirely different than stillness plus shame. When you reach for food, distraction, or avoidance, you're often not running from feelings. You're really running from the inner voice that shows up when you take the time to stop. Things like, oh, I really should be doing more. I'm lazy. I'm behind. I should be doing more for my family instead of sitting here. If I don't take care of them, then I'm failing as a family member. I can't relax until everyone else is taken care of. I can't get my life together. Why can't I just be better? Protective behaviors don't stop those feelings. They stop the self-condemnation, and that makes a big difference. So when comfort becomes permission, sometimes protective behaviors become the only way that you allow yourself to rest. Doing nothing without a buffer, without a reason, feels wrong because your brain starts telling you all the other things you should be doing. Slowing down feels undeserved, and rest feels like failure. But eating, scrolling, or numbing gives you permission. If I'm doing this, then I'm allowed to stop and do nothing. If you're watching TV, mindlessly watching TV, it gives you permission to stop. If you're eating, it gives you permission to stop. It's not indulgence, it's relief from guilt. And until rest is allowed without punishment, then your protective behaviors are going to keep filling that role. Protective behaviors aren't neutral. They come with a cost, and they come with a heavy cost because they can cause more frustration, feeling behind or scattered. It gives you a loss of self-trust. You have stress about all the unfinished tasks, shame for not being consistent, and it creates this loop, this perpetual loop of you feel overwhelmed. Your protective behavior brings you relief. Then the consequences pile up. Then the self-judgment grows. And then more protective behavior is needed. And your brain starts to learn, I need relief even more now. This isn't a problem of willpower. This is a regulation problem. So we need to replace our protective behaviors with something safer. Protective behaviors soften when something safer takes their place. And that replacement needs two things. It needs permission and it needs gentle structure. Without permission, structure is going to feel like punishment. And without structure, permission is going to turn into avoidance. So let me repeat that. If you don't give yourself permission, then structure will feel like punishment. But without structure, your permission is going to turn into avoidance. Peace lives in the balance. So this is why daily rest matters. Rest, relaxation, and unwinding aren't just nice things to have or nice things to do. They are actually essential for your mind, your body, and your ability to make positive and beneficial choices. When you don't rest, your nervous system stays on high alert, and then that makes stress and anxiety worse. Then your brain starts to lean on the protective behaviors in order to get relief. Excuse me. And then decision making and focus gets harder. And then procrastination grows. Then the emotions feel bigger and more intense because your system hasn't had the opportunity to settle. Even a short daily pause can help to calm your mind and body. It can reduce the urge over time to rely on protective behaviors. Because remember, the protective behavior is trying to give you relief. So if you are intentionally allowing and giving yourself permission to rest, you're not going to find the urge or the necessity to rely on the protective behaviors as much. It helps you to make small tasks easier to see and to do. And then it creates a calm base that helps you keep making progress. Rest. Let me make this extremely clear. Rest is not indulgence. It is preparation for life. It refills your reserves so that you can respond instead of react and act with intention instead of avoidance. Give yourself permission to rest without numbing. Permission means resting or relaxing without criticizing yourself. It can be simple. It could be sitting with a cup of tea, listening to some calming music, closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths. Set a timer for 5, 10, 15 minutes and give yourself permission to do nothing in that 5 to 15 minutes. You're not checking out. You're not numbing. You're just relaxing on purpose, whether your day has been stressful or not. I want you to get in the habit of doing this on a daily basis so that you're training your brain to relax rather than numb. You're training your brain to feel peace rather than relief. You're training your brain to not need the protective behaviors anymore. Rest becomes a choice, not something that you have to justify with food or with distraction, avoidance, procrastination. And take the full time. If you set the timer for 5 minutes, take that full 5 minutes. Be present. No tasks, no expectations, just rest and relaxation. Then, after you've rested, then you can gently move into some small tasks if you want. Structure doesn't have to be intense or strict. It can be one small task. So you allow yourself with permission to rest. And then you give yourself one small task to do, one short window of time, a clear stopping point. You could set another 5, 10, 15-minute timer and do one task. And when the timer ends, stop. Even if you feel like you could do more, I want you to stop. Because again, we are training our brains to do something different. So we don't need to overwhelm our brains. We just need to start out with small steps. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about building trust with yourself. Consistency grows from safety, not from pressure. So why do we schedule structure? Once you've rested, the small intentional structure helps you turn calm into action. Because without structure, the tasks pile up, the stress grows, you rely more on the protective behaviors for relief, you lose trust in yourself because nothing gets done consistently. Have you ever said that to yourself? Like, why? Why can't I follow through? Why do I start really well and then I don't end well? Because you need the gentle structure. With gentle structure, you build confidence in your ability to follow through. Your tasks feel manageable rather than overwhelming. You reduce the guilt because you're actually moving forward in small steps. And then your nervous system learns that you can face responsibilities without panic. Structure isn't perfection. Structure is a safe and predictable way to handle life. It's a framework that helps you to get things done. Even a few minutes for one task consistently is more powerful than trying to do everything all at once. It helps you to trust yourself and it helps with your ability to show up for yourself without shame and without overload. Commitment is not about being perfect. It's about proving your worth. It's not about being perfect. It's about proving your worth. It's not saying, I'll never mess up. I'll always show up perfectly. This proves that I'm disciplined enough. Now I'm good enough. That's not what we're going for. Real commitment says, I will return, I will stay engaged, and I will not abandon myself when things get uncomfortable. It's about making life easier for future you. It's not about being morally right. It's not about being perfect. It's not about doing all of the things all at once. Peace is not found in escaping life. It isn't created by numbing, avoiding, or postponing. Peace is built slowly through permission to rest without shame, structure that feels safe, not punishing, and following through without criticizing yourself. Protective behaviors were never the enemy, but they were trying to help. And now you can let them take a back seat. Peace grows when you stop fighting yourself and start choosing to be present, one small intentional step at a time. Eating, scrolling, avoiding, it brings relief, but it doesn't bring peace. Relief works for the moment, but it doesn't last, and it often leaves you feeling more stress and more guilt. Peace, which is our true goal, comes from resting without judgment, taking small intentional steps, and following through gently. It's not going to happen all at once, and that's okay. Each time that you pause intentionally and you act with care, you're creating new neural pathways that teach your mind and your body a calmer, safer, more capable way of being. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up. Next time that you notice yourself reaching for a protective behavior, ask yourself, will this give me short-term relief or long-term peace? If you want long-term peace, choose the actions that are going to create that. Resting and relaxing on purpose and following gentle, scheduled structure.